Eating organic has become a popular lifestyle, not only here in the mountains, but all across the country.
Why does everybody buy non-organic foods? Because I don't know. It's startling for me. As a health coach, it's very startling.
New data released by Nielsen and the Organic Produce Network highlights that organic produce sales are continuing to grow at an impressive rate.
A lot of people are going towards buying more organic food.
What do you think of when you hear organic foods? Do you instantly think of overpriced produce? Does the word healthy scream at you? Is it a myth? Is it something only your yoga instructor raves about?
Well, we've joined forces to explore and demystify organic foods. What exactly makes organic food organic? Why is it so popular despite being so expensive?
To dive deeper into the topic, we trace the organic food from our very own fridge, back to the store, then back to the supplier, and finally back to the farm.
Our first stop was Kin's Farm Market, where we spoke to Hilton, the assistant manager and the head of their organics program. At first, we were very convinced by Hilton's responses because he was very confident in his answers. However, when we did our research later on, we found that many of his responses were in fact inaccurate. Hilton's answers in this interview represent some of the common misconceptions regarding organic foods.
I'm assistant manager in Kin's Farm Market. Yeah, my name is Hilton. Yeah, and I work here for almost 3 years already. Yeah. Awesome. They have less toxics. Yeah, they don't use this in organics. Yeah, that's why the price is higher. They should keep a look more often. They should keep an eye more often because they get bad faster. So they need more manpower. They need to they cannot grow in big fields because bugs can attack, worms. I think that's why the price is more expensive. The people who buy organics, they usually pay more. Yes. They care about the health and stuff like that, but they pay more, so that's why I think they set the price higher as well, because people of organic, I think they pay more. We have a margin for regular, and the margin for organic is lower. It's lower, even the price. Like a regular apple is $1.49 a pound, organic should be $2.49. This is from the head office people. They deal with the business, they buy, but every box we have, there's organic in the label. And we don't mix the organics with the regular, at least for the store part. I just run the store. The people from the head office, they buy everything. They make the business. So I'm pretty sure the organics are real, legit organics. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tracing all the way back to the origins of locally sold organic and conventional produce, we visited 2 local farms, one of each practice for comparison.
Yes, my name is Steve, and I am the president of Vanderbilt Farms. For organics, you cannot use any conventional fertilizer for at least 3 years, and you have to use organic compost or they use manure, chicken manure they use. Yeah, but at least 3 years, and then you have to get it inspected and get it certified in order to be organically certified.
You have to be environmentally sustainable. You have to be socially sustainable, so you need to employ people and have a bit of a community, and you need to be money-wise conservative, so you need to be able to make money doing it. So if you combine those 3, then you should end up with organic growing.
My name is Stefan Massé. I work at Discovery Organics. We're a certified organic wholesaler. What we kind of look at here is the soil health. Soil. So in non-organic agriculture, the soil is a medium where it's very much dead because you've treated it with a lot of insecticides and herbicides and that sort of thing. And so you kill everything that's growing and then plant your seeds and use that as a medium and feed fertilizers into it, versus the organic ideology is more about soil being a living organism, and you're nurturing the soil.
Could you please comment on pesticide use in conventional farming?
So I try not to use any insecticides.
Yes.
We don't use any insecticides at all, and we use predator mites for that crop. But we do use herbicides to control the powdered mildew problem we have in strawberries.
It's not a secret that there's issues with especially like the bees lately. That was a big one. A lot of the problem is, I think, it's possible that they might be able to come up with a pesticide that wasn't going to harm anything, but they don't. It often is just not tested for long enough, and it would take a long time to test it to make sure that it doesn't have an impact.
It can still be pesticide on organic food. There's different treatments, and for the most part, they're things that don't pollute the groundwater, have a short breakdown cycle. Some farms may not use anything at all, but within organic standards, there are certain things that you can apply.
Are there significant health benefits to organic produce?
I think there's less
What is the average
pesticide
price
residue in the vegetable itself, so that's beneficial for you. So.
On one hand, you have you should be able to be healthier eating organic. I think that might be a little bit overdone, but still true. But the main thing I would think is the environmental factors. So you get better use for your land. You can grow more on a smaller area. And you don't ruin the ground and the land the same. It's more of a living soil rather than just one crop, and you till it in and the soil is kind of dead in a conventional system.
You can't really make those claims. There are a lot of people that do make those claims, but I think that it really depends on the soil health. Like, you could grow organically in dead soil as well as conventionally in dead soil. If you're not replenishing the soil with doing cover cropping and rotation, harvest, that sort of thing, you're probably not going to replenish the mineral content of the soil and whatnot, so that soil is going to be generally unhealthier, and the plants, whether it's organic or not, will be unhealthier.
What is the average price difference between organic produce and conventional produce?
Like a bunch of spinach, for conventional, we'll be selling about maybe $1 a bunch, and for it'll be more than double in organic. So all the leafy vegetables, it's a lot more labor intensive, and I don't know if the consumer are willing to pay the premium for that price on that. So
overall, though, there's probably conventional produce is probably cheaper on average by like 10%. It costs a little bit more, but a lot of the costs are very similar. It's the labor costs.
What is your average profit margin for conventional produce?
Maybe $5 a case.
So a case is like,
20 pounds.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the margin is very slim, and I only produce maybe 500 cases out of the year.
Is a profit margin for organic produce higher than that of conventional?
Yeah, it's a lot more profitable than conventional, as long as you have the market for it, have someone who will buy the products from you. At the beginning of the season, a conventional case of lettuce would be selling for like $14, but organic you can get maybe $30 for a box of lettuce. In terms of more labor, there's not more labor.
There's not more
labor involved in terms of lettuce. But when you're talking about like corn, organic corn or organic beans, that requires a lot more labor because you have to use manual labor to pull out the weeds, but conventional they do a spray, and the spray will keep the weeds out. Well, they use organically certified spray to control the bugs. It's costly, more costly than conventional.
What will it take to lower the price of organic produce?
It's a supply and demand. If you have abundance, you have to sell it, then you're willing to lower the price. If you don't have a big supply, then you can keep the price up.
Depends what you're growing and when. So, for instance, when local organic zucchini is on, and everyone's growing it, because zucchini is very easy to grow, and once it starts producing, you can't stop it. Prices will go very, very, very low. to the point where it's probably not economical to harvest it, but you have to keep harvesting it in order to keep producing it. So a lot of our zucchini growers locally will try and make sure that they can hit the very beginning of the season when the prices are high, and then cover the cost of growing the crop with those first couple weeks of sales, and then it's okay to tank from there. Yeah, the amount of organic production in North America is probably only, I'm guessing this number, you'd have to look that up, but like 5% of the total agriculture volume. So there's way more competition going on in the conventional world versus the organic world, and the demand is so high on organics that also leads to sometimes to just people competing on product. We supply probably about, on a regular basis, maybe 200 accounts across Western Canada, from Whitehorse to Winnipeg. Choices stores.
Choices.
East End Food Co-op. And then we don't do a lot of sales to sort of the bigger, like Safeways and whatnot.
Yeah.
We tend to focus more on smaller scale independents, because that's what we are as well. Our sales continually increase year by year, so the popularity is certainly there. If you look at, say, just the smaller grocery stores around town, everyone now is starting to carry some organic, whereas 5 years ago that wasn't the case. So it used to be more of a niche market, but now everyone is listing some organics because there's people asking for it. Not much, just the size of the farm. So I've seen 5,000 acre organic farms in Southern California that harvest celery, and you can do that same system in non-organic or organic, it doesn't really matter. Say in the last probably 10 years, a lot of conventional growers have jumped into doing organic as well, because they've seen their market share drop off because organics become popular and they don't want to lose their markets. The biggest thing for me personally is look at, say, the pesticide application schedule for non-organic blueberries, and that's the recommended applications are about 18 different pesticides at various times during the season. And so sure, you can wash it off, but how much has gotten into that piece of fruit? I don't know. Well, there's a lot of subsidies, hidden subsidies in agriculture, whether that's fuel subsidies or say a company like Monsanto, where you'll pay to use their seeds that they've produced, but they give you a discount maybe on the pesticide that goes with that seed in order to control with the direction of the farming. There are, and I can't comment on that without, yeah, there's been a few along the way that have been investigated by the CFIA for, which I think is changing, because now the CFIA is allowed to make inspections on those claims, whereas before people could just say, grown organically. Yeah. And that wouldn't necessarily mean you're certified. It's just, I'm mostly organic except for when I have an aphid problem, and then I put that on the crop.
One of our most shocking findings is that a huge factor as to why organic food is so expensive is not actually because it requires more labor to farm, but because of the expensive organically certified pesticides that are used.
To clarify, just because it's organic does not mean it is necessarily pesticide-free. Organic produce just uses organic pesticide.
Additionally, one of the main contributors to why organic produce is so expensive is the supply and demand for it. Despite gaining popularity, organic farming is less than 5% of all agricultural produce in North America. Due to low supply levels and high demand levels, the organic suppliers are able to amp up prices because they have monopoly over the market.
Therefore, only for certain crops that require extensive maintenance and effort are priced justified. An example of this is the labor put into weeding and keeping the soil rich and alive.
While in other cases, the price is unjustifiable for certain organic produce because some of the organic produce takes the same effort to farm as conventional produce.